What is the Sator Square? Rotas, opera, Tenet, arepo, Sator. What do these 5 words mean? How do they apply to Tenet? Is Christopher Nolan a madman or a genius? Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are not going to attempt to explain the entire movie. No, we are going to talk about one specific point that I have been seeing online and wanted to dive a bit deeper in and try my best to find out and uncover what does it mean? How does this apply to the film that we just watched? Of course, this video is going to have spoilers. We are talking heavily about the movie Tenet, and if you like these kinds of videos, I just did an in-depth discussion on why I believe the Riddler will be the next great Batman villain. And if you guys enjoy this, be sure to let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. And I may do an even further explanation of what I believe Tenet means and how in the world this movie works. But like I said, today, one specific point, and that is the Sator Square. So within the ruins of Pompeii, there was found buried a square of letters with 5 very specific words, all just kind of stacked on top of each other, and at first glance, it seems random. Now, the word that sticks out is obviously the movie that we are dealing with here, and that is Tenet, being able to read that forwards, backwards, up, and down. But that isn't the only symmetrical word to be found here. R-O-T-A-S. Backwards is obviously S-A-T-O-R. O-P-E-R-A. Backwards is A-R-E-P-O. Now, we're not only dealing with forwards and backwards, we're also dealing with up and down, because you see these same reoccurring words happening essentially whatever way you look at this square. The entire square is symmetrical in its own strange sense. Now, we can push that even further and put all of these words in one line together, creating a giant palindrome. We know Tenet is a palindrome in itself, as is the film that we just watched, forwards and backwards, moving through time. But what makes this magical square so special, and how does it apply to the film? Well, Christopher Nolan obviously did his research here, acquiring this seemingly magical square, pointing to the symmetry of what his film was intended to be, as well as all of these words found here. But what do these words mean specifically, and can they all be found in the movie? Obviously, the standout is Tenet, the next one being opera or opera, which is, of course, the first scene that draws you in, the opening of the film itself. Sator is also fairly simple. It is the last name of our main antagonist, Andrea Sator. Arepo could be a difficult one to spot if you've only seen the film one time, but it is actually the name of the artist shown about halfway through the movie, Thomas Arepo. And then Rotas, funny enough, Sator backwards, is the name of our antagonist's company. So clearly Nolan drew inspiration from the Sator Square, but I want to dive a bit deeper into the roots and what each word means specifically and how they relate to the movie. Okay, this is where it gets a bit more difficult. So these words will clearly hold different definitions, but we are going to dive into the Latin meanings first. And we'll start with rotas, that can loosely be interpreted as wheels. Opera, I'm just going to say opera, because that's a bit easier. Tenet means holds. Now, arepo, that's the difficult one, because there really isn't a Latin meaning to be found with this word. We'll get back to that here in just a second. And sator can be interpreted as farmer. Okay. This obviously, how can we tie this into the film? Sator, who's the antagonist, the farmer, okay, maybe he's planting the seeds for our heroes to try to take him down. I feel like I'm reaching here. The original meaning is cedar. We can look for synonyms, planter, founder. Now, founder is an interesting one because obviously he's not only the founder of his company within the film, but he is also the man who holds the destruction of the world in his hands, the key, essentially the founder of Doomsday, so that's definitely something that could tie in. Rotas, the plural of wheels, obviously the name of the company within the film, but this could be understood as Sator, who is the cedar, the founder of the company, turning it at will as you would a wheel, using it for your own sinister intentions. Tenet. He, she, it holds, keeps, comprehends, possesses, masters, preserves, sustains. And that word is used to comprehend the time and version used throughout the film, to possess it, and for John David Washington's character, to master it. Now, I have seen an ongoing fan theory that draws John David Washington's name to the name of Tenet. Because he is referred to as the protagonist, we don't have an actual name for him. That is interesting for sure, but I believe this is used more as a verb throughout the movie. Opera, I believe, is used a bit more literally here because obviously Nolan utilizes the opera for that opening scene, which we already mentioned. And then arepo, which is just essentially unknown but likely a proper name, which is, funny enough, utilized as a name in the film. So did Nolan just utilize this square, which I have laid out as a rectangle? I just realized that. Because of how each word flows so well and the meaning behind those words, I and obviously most of you believe that the title of the film Tenet is used perfectly, not only because of what we've been talking about throughout this video, but if we just look at the third act and the final sequence, and I've not checked to see if this lasted 10 minutes in real time, but I would assume, knowing Nolan, he at least tried to make it as concise as possible. But in that sequence, both armies have 10 minutes. One starts counting from 10 to 0, the other team is counting from 0 to 10. That is clear to me. 10 plus NET, which is 10 backwards, equals Tenet. 10 minutes forwards, 10 minutes backwards, which is the final battle in the film, which is the perfect reason to use the title of Tenet, using it as a verb throughout the film, being able to possess this knowledge and master time inversion. But Nolan did incorporate the other elements of the square. He did utilize the Latin translations to a degree, but let's go a bit deeper. And I'll admit, I did not come up with this. This is something that I found on multiple sites, so you can do the research yourself. But it's something that I would like to inform you of, just to tie it in even more. So let's look at the phrase pater noster, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, which means, in Latin, our Father. They are the first two words used in the Lord's Prayer. Austin, what does this have to do with anything? Hang on. You can actually retrieve this phrase by rearranging the letters of all of the words on screen, creating a cross of sorts with, again, from Tenet, the N still in the middle, pater noster, moving up and down, left and right. Now, Austin, hang on, I did it. There's 2 A's and 2 O's left over, but we can also translate that to the alpha and omega, which is how they are used. And you know, alpha, omega, the beginning, the end, we're taking you to church. Now we can also look at it from another direction. Take the outside of the square and only focus on the consonants combined with, again, the N in the middle. That produces S-T-R-N. Now Saturn was the Roman god of agriculture, magic, and time cycles. And according to some, Sator may have actually been the sacred name of Saturn. So what is the one consistent thing that we're finding from all of these interpretations? Whether it is Saturn, the Roman god of time cycles, the Alpha, the Omega, our Father. What does it mean and what does it all translate to? Religion, in my mind, comes down to one simple concept, and that is good versus evil. And utilizing all of these words that can be stripped down and used for something like an alpha, an omega. See the word God used over and over. Well, there is one character in the film that essentially sees himself as a god, the only character with the power to literally end the world and time as we know it, and that is actually the character of Sator. And if we remember from like 3 minutes ago, Sator is the sacred name of Saturn, which is what we see over and over throughout the outer edges of this square. S-T-R-N, also known as Saturn, who is, one more time, the Roman god of time. The character of Sator essentially being the Alpha, the Omega, the god of time. What is he after throughout the film? That's right, it's a square taking the power in his own hands. And the only person to defeat the ultimate antagonist is, of course, referred to as, in the film, the protagonist, utilizing the word Tenet, comprehending the word, possessing the knowledge, mastering the power to preserve and sustain life as we know it. Now, again, all of this could be malarkey, nonsense. Maybe I'm just trying too hard. Let me know. Am I trying too hard? And it still leaves many questions. I have questions myself, even after doing this research for an entire day. I have so many questions that I would love to know in the comments section down below. Did what I say make sense at all? Did I phrase it in the correct way? Would you like to see me to talk specifically about the movie? This is just kind of what the film means. I've not even been able to dive into the actual plot. I just wanted to talk about this square again. That looks like a rectangle the way that I type. That's my bad. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you weren't able to check out my non-spoiler review, please let me know how you feel about it down below, and stay tuned. More Tenet videos to come. Appreciate you for watching. Again, smash that thumbs up button if you like these kinds of vids, and I'll see you soon. My head hurts.